Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Gnomon Art Jam. My name is Josh Herman. Welcome to the stream today. We're going to be sculpting and making some stuff in ZBrush, continuing projects that we've started in the previous couple of streams, I guess. I'll kind of pop up in ZBrush here in a little bit, and we'll get started. But if y'all have any questions or anything, please let me know during the stream. If there is, I'm going to get some music going at some point. If the music is too loud, if the video quality or anything looks bad, please just let me know so that I can go ahead and adjust it, and we'll get that fixed. Last week we were having some weird internet issues, so apologies in advance if anything gets a little slow, but we'll be here for the whole duration. So again, let me know if there's anything that needs addressing during the stream. Last session on Gnomon Art Jam, this is kind of what we started on. We had worked on this for a while, so we worked on this character here. Kind of give you a little bit of a insight into where we were. Basically, we spent a little time working on the costume of the character, these straps, some of the direction of where this is going to go. And generally, I'm pretty happy with kind of how this is going. We still have our action hero poncho that we had initially, and then our sort of potential pelt or something that if this character is like a hunter or something, they could be wearing this, which I think is kind of fun. During the weeks, I kind of took some personal time to work on a companion character. I said I was going to do that, and so I ended up sculpting another reptilian companion. I don't have any colors or designs or anything for the armor. I did use some previous sculpts that I had done, and even that a friend who had been on the stream before had done to kind of get the base mesh for this. Brian Wynia, who was on one of the previous art jams, had done some sculpts that we collaborated on, and this is some of these pieces are from him. But I really like the overall shapes here. As sort of a companion and as sort of like a little smaller character to accompany the more traditional muscle-bound character, almost like a dwarf, I guess, in a weird way. So I'll get this one up, and then maybe we'll color it. We'll take this one's coat so you can kind of see the difference there. That's how I envision them size-wise. So this is the relationship between like the hero and a companion, basically. Might work on some costumes for the companion today. Might continue that or finalizing the costume of the hero today. But we'll be in ZBrush sculpting. If you have any questions, as always, please ask, and I'm going to get going. And let me know if there's any questions on my process or anything that I'm working on. Throughout the stream, you're more than welcome to ask questions about anything, whether it's questions about careers, questions about portfolios, jobs, processes specifically that I'm doing within ZBrush, or something different. More than welcome to ask questions about any of that, and I kind of encourage it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be here rambling to myself for much of the stream, so please don't feel like you can't. Somebody says hello from Twitch. Hello, how are you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. I see that I have these two meshes overlapping, and I kind of just want to take this one and get rid of it. Hello, how am I doing? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well as well. Just get this little thing kind of sucked inside there. We don't need to see that right now. Cool. All right, I will probably continue on some of this blue areas. Last stream we had kind of stopped somewhere in these sandals to figure out exactly what some of these shapes were going to be doing, and I kind of got to a close-ish area to where I feel like we're kind of close, but it's definitely not 100% there. But we'll try to get there today. I always like looking back on the streams after sculpting for a couple hours and just kind of seeing what the progress is. One of the things I talked at length about in the last stream was sort of defining what each one of these colors is as far as a fabric. Is it a material? Is it a fabric? Is it skin? Is it leather? You know, what all is it going to be? Kind of having a little slightly more clear understanding of that would be helpful. I think this blue might be more of a fabric, and this gray is probably going to be some sort of like a spacey fabric. It just has more spacey aesthetics to it. Looks like I got a couple questions coming in. I'll answer those in just a sec. One from YouTube and one from Twitch. We are streaming on Facebook. We're also streaming on YouTube, and we're also streaming on Twitch. So wherever you're at, if you have never seen the stream before, feel free to like, follow, subscribe so you can see what future events and streams we do. This stream we do every Wednesday from 2 p.m. Pacific to 5 p.m. Pacific. So a 3-hour stream. And the goal of the stream is really, at least the stream is really just to make stuff and kind of be an accountability partner for anybody else out there who wants to be doing art. What is better for rigging is the question from YouTube. Is it better to make bones on the model or make a T-pose model at the end? Sorry for your bad English. Your English is fine. Don't worry about that. I think it's really dependent up to you, and that's going to depend on what your process is. Like, what are you wanting to do, right? If you're trying to make a character it's always going to be easier to sculpt a character in pose, right? It's always going to be able to, even the character I have here, even though it's more of an A pose meaning that your arms are slightly out like this, right, in the shape of an A. You could still rig this character. You could do a simple pose on that, but you would have limitations because as soon as you start to bring the arms up to a certain degree, right, the rigging in the shoulder is going to be really difficult. So it kind of depends on what your goal is. If you're wanting to do an animated movie or film, often you'll see that the character's arms are sort of, out to about here to here to full T pose or an A pose. And that's because they want to have the most range of movement possible without breaking the rig. So you can go either way. If you want to do full T pose sculpt, you can do that. You can do that at the very end. You'll have to resculpt and probably readjust much of your topology to fit, but it is an option that you can do. So it's kind of really dependent on what your goal is. For me, I prefer to work this way, which is basically sculpting a character in a specific pose, and then focusing on the subtle posing you're going to do afterwards. So yeah. Shingo from Twitch says, hello, I have a little question about sculpting and anatomy. What would be the best way to learn anatomy in sculpting, in your opinion? Really good question. Definitely a question that comes up quite a bit. The first thing you want to do is get some resources and get some books. We've talked about this a couple times on stream, so I'm going to move these hats out of the way. Stay there, please. All right, you can go down here then. And get a couple good books. The books that I really recommend for anatomy sculpting are going to be these. This is George Bridgman, Heads, Features, and Faces. Definitely a big recommendation. Any of the George Bridgman books. So this is also George B. Bridgman, which is, he's an illustrator. So these are not necessarily for sculpting. But you'll see that the way that he draws, if I can get it to focus on this page, is very focused on planes and forms. Even in the cover you can see that. So in a minute I'll talk about planes, which is a really, really important aspect of that. The additional thing that I would focus on other book I get is Steve Hampton's or Michael Hampton's book called Figure Drawing, Design, and Invention. This is one of the best figure drawing books out there, and figure drawing, just by its nature, drawing the figure, includes a lot of anatomy knowledge. Getting specific anatomy books, anatomy for the artist or all that kind of stuff is great and is really, really helpful. But it's not necessarily going to be something that's going to really give you a huge leg up from the artist side. A lot of those books are more focused on the anatomical medicine angle. So that's kind of what I would think about. The other things you can do to practice and get better at sculpting would be to just do studies of the body while sculpting. So we can do that a little bit today if you'd like. I think I'm probably going to do a quick break and maybe focus on that for a little bit anyways. But just start focusing on a head, start focusing on a hand, an arm, the torso. If you look at traditional clay sculptures, a lot of what you'll see is something called an écrochet, which is basically starting from the skeletal system, sculpting the skeletal system, and then sculpting all the muscles on top of the skeletal system individually, one by one. And that way you get to understand what the names are, where they start, where they insert, and that's a really important part. You don't necessarily need to know all of the names, but that is an important element of it. So that's the thing I would focus on, is understanding that. The additional thing that I would probably do is I would just get to a better understanding, or have a solid understanding of planes. I don't mean like airplane planes. I mean like planes as in sculpting. And what I mean by that is you'll find when you start looking, and if you're definitely interested in sculpting, this is a big concept that you will encounter. And it can be kind of a challenging, somewhat abstract section. Okay, here's a head I sculpted a couple streams ago. So we're going to do a plane demonstration on this. Can you get the book titles written down? I can be very still, and I can make sure that you can see them and maybe take a screenshot. This will also be up later so you can review it on YouTube. But Figure Drawing, Design and Invention by Michael Hampton. That's down here. It's the name you're looking for. And then there's a whole series of these books. There's many more of these heads and hands and all other things. But George B. Bridgman is the name that you're looking for down here. So just search this name. You don't need to search this name. Just search the author's name, and you'll find a whole selection of books that focus on that, which are really, really, really great. So those are the two big ones that you probably want. That one's backwards. Hang on. It looks like Adam is also in the chat. Adam is a Gnomon rep, so if you also have any questions, Adam is happy to help with anything related to courses, educational offerings, etc. That I can't answer, he can answer. But yeah, those are the two that you're looking for. It looks like Adam got those written down for you as well. All right, so let's talk about planes. Planes are, like I said, it's an abstract concept, but basically if I'm to take a sphere or something like that, a sphere is many, many, many planes put together. Actually, if you zoom in really far in ZBrush, you can see all of them. See all these little facets. Each one of those is a polygon, but a polygon almost by definition is a plane, right? It's a singular surface that is not warped, it is not arced, and it follows a singular direction. I'm going to use the H polish brush for this. But you can also use the trim dynamic brush. You can use a bunch of different types of brushes. And this is going to be more of an exercise to explain what a plane is even further. So if I'm creating these shapes here, you'll see this is another way to make a plane, or several different planes and how they connect. This is basically, a simple understanding of what I'm trying to describe, and we'll get more specifics in that in the face in a second. So as you zoom in over here to this face, we're going to zoom in and we're going to evaluate these individual shapes. So I'm going to go to our mask lasso so that I can illustrate some specific shapes here, maybe this shape here, maybe how we see a small plane here. It's almost like you want to look at like you've dove into the matrix and you're able to decipher what the underlying shape is that makes up an organic shape. If you've ever done a lot of poly modeling, sometimes you'll be thinking or looking in wireframes as to how you would be building something. That's a good way to think about what we're doing kind of here today, which is going to be breaking down this face into planes. So let's take this down. I have my trim dynamic brush here. I'm going to store a morph target. This is just so we can have a before and after. And I'm going to keep working. I'm also going to make myself a little smaller. And what you'll notice, I'm going to just kind of chisel away at these shapes. Sometimes you're not going to see a massive adjustment. Here, you'll see I've kind of deleted some of that other area, right? But that's not super, super important right now. I'm really just trying to chisel it down to the smallest possible shapes that there are. I can see from the side view there's a plane here, meaning there's an adjustment in the angle. I'll go to here and I'll draw this action line out. You'll see that the action line, this point right here is where that break happens, right? That's an important element right now. So we're going to chisel that down. Right here, we're going to chisel this down. These can kind of collapse into singular planes. That's okay. But we see right here, there's another element that's going upward. That's yet another plane. You're going to hear the word plane probably 1,000 times during this description, so apologies in advance. But it's kind of not possible to not speak about it. And this sculpture is pretty low res. It's not necessarily a high res sculpt. The demonstration might be better served if I gave it some higher res stuff, but we're going to push through this anyways. So let's evaluate a shape like this. What is this made up of planes? Well, we can see that there's a highlight. As I rotate around, there's a highlight that kind of goes across the top of the cheekbone. By definition, that means that's where two surfaces are going to be meeting, and that's where the light is going to hit. That means there is a plane change here, right? And now we want to look from the top view. Is there one specific area where this curve hits a couple apexes? It looks like we have one here, and it looks like we might even have one in this area in here, and those are going to be our big two. So I'm going to just chisel that in really quickly. Again, this is an exercise on planes. This is not about creating the best sculpture possible. This is about going in and understanding what it is that makes a shape a shape. We're going to do this to a bunch of different areas here as well. And you'll notice that if you keep doing this, eventually the sculptures that you make or that you deconstruct kind of look like robots. Look like robots, or they look like a stylized character. Stylized character is not really a coincidence. That's because the simplification of shapes is what is kind of was animation was built on. So if you ever hear in any 2D characters or anything like that, that they were simplifying designs for animation, that means they're making them easier to draw, and that often means that they're making it so that there was less lines to draw in general, so that it was easier to draw but still communicated the shape. That's very much what planes is, right? We're communicating what the simplest way to create these shapes is. So animated characters tend to have more defined planes. So the original question was, advice for sculpting. And now we're in a long tangent about planes, but it's important to note that this is one of the fundamental skills, just general art skills for sculpting. It's not about digital sculpting. It's not about traditional sculpting. It's about just generally sculpting. So if you can sculpt in a way, and this, by the way, is very much how Bridgman draws. So that was one of the previous books that I recommended by George B. Bridgman. It's very much how Bridgman draws. So if you can sculpt the way he draws, or you can sculpt in a way that kind of defines these shapes very clearly, your sculptures will always be stronger. Now somebody might say, well, yeah, but it's always about detail, right? Detail is the most important thing. And that's not actually true. Because detail is just lines drawn on top of a form, right? So I could come in here and we'll use the back of his head. We'll pull a Harry Potter and this Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone, depending on what region you're from, and say, you know what, here's the eyeballs back here, eyeballs, and there's a nose back here, and maybe there's a mouth, right? But if there's no strong form for this to live on, your sculpture will suffer, right? It just won't look very good, as you can see what that from that. Whereas here, we're looking at the strong plane changes of where these forms are intersecting. So I'm going to switch that morph target back and forth really quickly. And what you'll get to see is that the overall shape itself doesn't change, but you get to see the underlying structures. And the reason this is important is not for the close-up read, right? The close-up read where you're going to see all the details. That's not really why we do this. It's so that when the character is far away, for you, this might be pretty small on your screen, so I'll do it about here. And if I flip this back and forth between the planarized version and the detailed version, you're going to see that there shouldn't be too much of a difference, right? The character, especially from a far distance, a thumbnail read, it should basically be the same thing. I am switching it right now between A and B. Planes, detail, planes, detail, and back to planes, right? And the reason that this is important is this is the core shapes that create your shadows, that create your contrast, that actually create your character. And it's the combination of them that will also make your characters unique and appealing. So as far as going back to the initial question, how to, tips and tricks for sculpting and anatomy, what's the best way to learn? You need to get into the headspace of understanding what it is that you're actually breaking down. It's not that you're just making an arm, right? It's not that you're just making a hand. It's not that you're just making a head. It's that you're taking the complex shapes that those pieces are, you're breaking them up into several more core fundamental shapes, and then you're trying to understand how they interplay together. And that's kind of what we're doing right here. And what's really cool about sculpting this way, even if you can sculpt in a very stylized manner, is you can take this and you can pretty quickly break down those planes from more stylized, robotic, hard surfacey planes to complex organic planes very quickly. So what you can do is you can actually come in here, and I'll just do it right now, and just begin breaking down these planes. So I'm going to take this plane here, and I'm just going to break it apart by adding another plane. What I mean by that is, as we were kind of looking at, I think it was this sphere or this sphere. Here we go. Where is it? Oh, there it is. These planes, all you have to do to make something look more realistic, let's pretend that this is a realistic side because it has far more detail. You just take these individual planes and start breaking them down, each peak into a separate plane. And what you'll notice over time is that if you continue to do this on every individual plane, your surface becomes very round. And now those hard corners are no longer there, but the actual large individual shapes are still there, right? That's what we're wanting to do. So we can do this on the face too. So we'll come in here and I'll just break this plane down, right? So you see I'm just holding down I'm using the clay buildup brush, holding down Alt. I'm going to break this plane into two planes. I'm going to break this plane into two planes. Every plane where I see a very hard surface section, I'm just going to chisel the top off and make it into two planes, or add an additional plane. Two become three. And then in between those, if I want to add more complexity to those planes, I can give them a subtle bowing or subtle area next to the plane, like you see, like I just did here. So if I want to subtly add an arch to this area, I can do that. And again, this is all kind of talking about how to make planes and what they're important for, why they're important. So every little section, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to break this apart. And if it's too strong of a plane, I might just add a little bit of definition there, a little bit of detail. And that takes that very harsh plane and just gives it a little bit of a wobble. And that wobble and warbling will, by definition, add more planes to an existing plane, even though the underlying surface is more or less the same. So let's continue these sections here. And what you should start to see relatively quickly is that as I continue to break down the planes, that I get a more realistic result or a less stylized result. It's probably going to look a little different than the original one just because I'm sculpting entirely differently. Just give this kind of forehead a little bit of depth, some subtle variation to the surface. We're probably pretty close. I can keep some of these lines if we want to. Just fill in some of those harsher things. And now you'll see from A to B, this is our very original sculpture that we started with. This is our new sculpture. And they're not that different because the underlying form structure is the same. But what you will notice is that this one started with a more defined planar structure underneath it. And this is me building up on top of that to more or less get to where we started. So understanding planes is a really important concept of getting started in sculpture. It's probably the number one thing that you can focus on, honestly. All right, we're going to continue on this. Let me know if you had any questions on that. Hopefully it was helpful. Santiago from YouTube says they also recommend reading Loomis along with Bridgman. Yes, both of those are really great. Stormy Nighty, hello, how are you doing? Nice to see you. I'm going to start sculpting on this character a little bit as well. The answer is very helpful. No problem. Happy to help. Ask more questions if you got them. So even looking at a character like this, as we're kind of talking about planes, you can kind of see here in the forearm, there's a really clear plane definition, right? This shape right here. So we can see that there's a clear separation for where certain parts of it is. You can also see it right here, right? So that's seems like it's shot through the body, but here you can see there's a clear separation, and even here, sharp, very, very sharp angle change right here on that wrist, a very clear plane, and you can kind of see these differences as it progresses. So this is kind of one of the things from a sculptural standpoint that once you begin to see it, it's actually really difficult to not see it. That's okay. That's kind of the point. Right now, this week we're working on this character, and we're also working on this character, who are companions of sorts. And so making costume changes to this character and just generally bouncing back and forth between the two. So I'm going to keep both of them kind of up at once. I was working on these little boots over here, which I kind of want to finish. Feels like this needs some way to tie into the bottom of this boot. Sounds like you've been under a little stress as projects come by, but the usual. How about me? I've been doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. Gearing up and planning for a kind of a larger project that I'm hoping to accomplish this year. Feeling pretty good about that. That'll be fine. A lot of stripes there. I'm not sure I really love that look here, so I might end up kind of, you know, just from a color standpoint. Why do I not like it, you might ask? Because I don't like how it's totally out of theme and looks very candy cane with everything else. I like the front because it's more integrated, but the back just got way too stripy, so I might just like bring in some of this silver to parts of it. We'll see. Inside scoop on the projects. The projects that I'm working on are one of them is kind of this project. So I have bigger plans for, you know, what I want to do with this and what I want to do with this. Let's make this a color. You can't also be green. Let's get the whole, hang on, before we do this, we got to make sure we have the whole color set for this one. All right. It's a lot of blue. Try more yellow. Yeah. Let's fill that with that color. That's where we'll start with that, and we'll save this as another file somewhere else. Here we go. Yes, cool. So that's the two we're going to be working on today, and we did kind of show off this little head plane example, which is always fun to kind of show how planes work, what the point of them is, how you can search for them in your sculptures. But yeah. I do need to make a key villain for these characters, and this is something I've been searching for, but I haven't been able to find it just yet. You know, if I had these characters, I did say there's also a mount for these characters. So some people are asking about what this project could be. This is one of the characters. This is the hero character. Put him in front. He's protecting, or try to put it in front if ZBrush will comply. And then we created and sculpted a creature several streams ago from scratch. And this would be the mount. Don't know why that has colors on it. I don't even know what color this would be, but we'll make this a purple, a deep purple. Feels appropriate for some reason. Let's go ahead and fill Z plugin, subtool master. There you are. Fill color. Up. There we go. So these are our characters that will probably all be together. Oh, let's see if I can somehow find a way so they don't crush each other. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We'll get there. We'll get there. We're not going to get there. Again, protector, standing in front. As is this thing. Oh, gee. Oh, no. That'll have to do. All right, so we need a villain. We need a villain. If this left side is going to be our heroes, we need a villain. And honestly, Chad, I would love to have some help on what type of a villain do you think would be good to go against this crew? If you have questions or you got suggestions, please just shout them out in the chat. You like how the dragon looks like it could be related to a greyhound? Yeah, that was kind of the idea. Something like more thinner. You know, all of these need some work, and they need some more look dev and some viz dev. But I am happy that they all seemed like they could kind of live in the same world. But I do need some sort of a villain at some point. I'll show up a couple things that we've already done, maybe, and see if that inspires anything. We did do this one a long time ago. I don't know if anybody remembers this. This is back around Halloween, I think. This character here with her spider companion. Oh, that creature's coming in. There's an option for that, but I don't feel like it really fits as well. No, it works, but it's not my fave for this. Somebody says something robotic, hard surface versus organic. I certainly definitely thought that as well. Smallish, impish, Lord Farquaad. I haven't thought about Lord Farquaad in a long time. Sort of like a lizard. Since you have a lizard, you could have a crocodile. Yeah, I kind of want to shift away from so much reptile stuff because all the whole left is reptile stuff. Krang from TMNT. Ooh, I like that idea. Like a static creature. Somebody else below you said hard surface. Giant mech cyclops. Something more thin. Formal. Yeah, okay. So I think we're all kind of in the same vein here. We're not all of us, but several of us had said, you know, something that might be like a good hard surfacey robots versus this organic reptile, almost like the world that I'm envisioning is like a prehistoric-y, but if reptiles evolve to be like, you know, the dominant species and create tools, right? So maybe the other side of that is there's something else. Somebody says animated armor. Yep. A big hulking thing. All right. So I love the idea of Krang. Big fan of Krang in general. So maybe we'll explore that idea. Somebody says something like Alucard, thin and formal. Yeah, this to me feels more like an Alucard sort of thing if they were like, you know, this big. Maybe they could be a player, but not a player character, but like a player in the world. So if we're going to explore this a little bit, let's see what I've got from previous sculpts as far as a Krang. Or maybe we just make a Krang. I think we just might make one. Something hulking. People are saying something big. Yeah, I like that idea. Like if something was really the only thing that comes close, this is obviously not Krang, but this type of a character, if it was like this, and maybe more like this, and robotic, and had a big old... I don't think we should go straight for Krang, but you can see where I'm going with if this was a thing. I'm going to keep that masked, actually. This is all VizDev, right? We're exploring what direction this character should be. I love that. I painted this character so that it looked interesting, but then it had these bottom these bottom little black feet because I think it was wearing boots, but they just look like dress paint, like dress socks to me. They looked like exactly like I just got back, just took my, just wear my dress socks. Let's pretend we got a Krang. We'll probably put Krang somewhere in here, whatever the controlling device is, but we'll do like a wannabe Krang. Keep this area masked. Stretch it out this way. Stretch it out this way. Right. Get this head. And also do the same. Let's just go a little extra wild. Maybe from the front. You can always use this as a base too. Tree golem. Nice. Some sort of a cyborg. Yeah, cyborgs are great. Big fan of cyborgs. Maybe we'll explore that. So envision that this was a robot and better done. Something like that could be interesting. Something like this could be an interesting play. I don't know if that's the shapes that I want. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But let's see where we can go with this. Somebody saying that like almost results you into a cyborg HR Giger. Somebody's saying biomechanical hell. We got a lot of stuff coming in here. I like all that. This is all great references. So the question is, how should we start? How should we start? If we're going to make our villain, we're going to block out our villain. Now we've got like our big 3 characters here. Not this one, in case you're just joining. We've got our big 3 characters. How should we start our villain? Do we start from scratch? I feel like starting from scratch is going to be our way to do this. I don't necessarily want to start with a humanoid body shape because I feel like I'm just going to get sucked into like making a humanoid body shape thing. Yeah, let's just go for it, huh? Let's just go for it. All right, let's undo. This is our sphere we started on earlier. And this character needs to be like very... I mean, we can go classic red, right? We don't have a lot of red here, so maybe red will be like their theme. We'll just keep it kind of in this pink range for now. Ooh, what is this jam we have? Anybody else out there working on projects, big projects, school projects? 6-sided dice to see how many legs it gets. All right. Rob, you spoke my language immediately. That's a 4. 4 legs. All right. Currently doing 2 hard surface 2 midterms. Somebody working on demo reel, many film projects. All right, so 4 legs. All right, let's think about legs. So it could have... I don't think you need to see me that large. It could have legs like a quadruped, like a centaur. right? We could do a traditional quadruped animal. We could do sort of like a crab, but that's like, and I guess the question is there a body on top of that, right? We got to figure out if there's a body on top of this character. But we know we want 4 legs, or at least we're gonna try to put 4 legs in there. Need more legs? Roll again. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. Don't roll 1. Yeah, it was going to be like a weird gizmo duck situation if it was a 1. Okay, so maybe this is like where one of the legs comes out from. This one already has sort of this hyena-like posture, so whatever it is, I feel like should be the opposite, right? So if for some reason, maybe this thing is like as big or close to as big as this character would be sitting on this. So if we were to do like some sort of a keyframe, what the moment would be between them, that they would be like equally sized, right? Sort of like a Hulkbuster versus Hulk situation. But if the character didn't have that or was just by themselves, they would be like dwarfed by it, right? All right. So that means to me, the posture of the one on the left is very sort of like this angle, which you can see I'm already kind of going for like this shape is like the shape of this thing's torso. So we need to do the opposite of that. So that can either be like a centaur, all right? This can be like, okay, this kind of a thing. Little bean shape I'm making. Flamingo style legs, like a bird leg where it's like long. It's an interesting idea. Maybe they're little. Yeah, it looks like a stylized seal. All right. This other set of legs. And maybe the legs, you know what? Let's think about, hang on, we're going to take a step back. Let's think about, and 2 of the legs are vestigial. Oh, I like that, along and backwards bending. Because I'm thinking like AT-AT, AT-ST. Not to rip off the AT-ST, but that's kind of the chicken walker look, right? I think it's kind of, we're just gonna absolutely destroy this mesh. So I apologize if anybody in here is interested in rigging or animated stuff, because this is about to get not production ready. All right, let's get this mask pen. So this, I think this is kind of what you're talking about with those flamingo legs. Do I like this? Not yet, I'm not gonna lie. But what if we had these 2 little ones? Would they be legs? Right now it feels like I'm definitely making arms. No doubt about that. I'm certainly making an arm. But would there also be arms? That's really the question we have. Let's get these back. It's gonna fall over. I like the idea of like a main leg and like a support leg or something. It's kind of what I'm trying to get across here, but it's not coming across. Maybe they need to come from the back. And that is very standard quadruped. Okay, it's okay. It's always the hardest part of a project for me. I mean, it's also one of the most fun parts. Where you're like, what could we do? What should we do? Yeah, this is more like a gorilla. Which is kind of, you know, like if I was saying, like, if we're going to do a thing like this is sort of that shape that is the opposite of this shape, which I kind of like, right? It's the opposite of this, is what this is. I like that idea as an idea. I don't like what I've done. Oh, to vestigial. This is kind of the same shape we had. I mean, there's always the option to just make the legs really short. Everything over here has pretty long legs. This is really long legs. This person's pretty lanky, and this person's pretty lanky. So what if we just like... What? I don't know what this music is. Yeah, this just needs to go away. Here. Just go all the way back here to where we started. Never be afraid to start over. It's something I learned pretty early. This kind of goes back to the spider stuff, which, you know, that's spider, bug, robots. That stuff can all tie in pretty well together. So maybe that's an area. This music is seriously DDR. I gotta get out of this playlist. This is supposed to be the fantasy playlist. Oh. Okay, I like what I did there. I think that's an interesting look. I don't like this back shape over here, but we'll try it. Oh. Spider body with robot arms? Not a bad idea. Definitely not a bad idea. Let's do the old this move again. Oh, should have done that one at a time. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you see an octopus. It will hopefully not look like an octopus. That is one of my primary goals in this is to make it not look like an octopus. It's also probably because it's pink. It's way too wide right now, I think. Posture is ridiculous. Also looks like a child's bath toy. I like to use these bottom little lines down here. I actually use them to make sure that all the legs are on the same plane. So I'll grab them and just do that. And then I can get in perspective and know roughly what it's at. Now imagine if this thing was this big, though. And now we should put something. Let's go ahead and add a pin, a cylinder. I'm making this up 100% on the fly, so we'll see what we get. Squish this thing down, and let's go ahead and just make another one. Seriously, this music is supposed to be the fantasy music. Let's go to the epic music playlist. All right. Backpack, battery pack. All right, let's see. So again, kind of going for that opposite shape. Sort of like tank-like, which I kind of like. That looks like a bird. Tank-like? Oh, it could be very IG-88. One of my favorite characters, in case you're not aware. And have like little, you know, whoop, whoop. That's just spikes, but whoop, 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 sensors all around it. Right, okay. I think the idea is getting there now. Now, where is the brain? Where would the brain be? We can do this. The classic right in the middle move. Let's get a sphere in here. Now, will it be a brain? Chat, should it be a brain? Should it not be a brain? Should it be something else that's different? Brain's pretty standard. Evil brain in a mech. Epic music, epic flow. And a floating orb above the tank. Cellar spider legs on the back and massive on the front. Yeah, like I think you're saying like these ones being like real long. Like this. I think, if I remember what a cellar spider looks like, it looks kind of like this. Like I'm being shorter. Looks kind of what's that game? The short tanks. What's it called? Metal Slug. Reminds me a little bit of a Metal Slug thing right now. We have now entered Mitchell's versus the Machines territory. Amazing movie, by the way. Mitchell's versus the Machines. Mitchell's and the Machines. So good. Love that movie. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but Mitchell's is incredible. All right. We could also put little spikes and sensors and stuff. I don't know if this will be a barrel. Maybe it's like some weird. Maybe it could extend. Ooh, if it's a robot, it could be like inside here. Oh, check this out. Check this idea. It's like the inside here is like a little trough, and it could have like a little rail gun that like comes out of the top, like Pinocchio style. But like normally it's like back here, and then it's just like oh shit, all the way out. And then kind of like that. Pretend that it can do that. All right, we can probably get away from this big old cylinder. Can we please get more sound effects? Oh, Max, I'll give you all the sound effects you want. That's the key thing to making monsters, to making robots, is you got to be able to make sound effects. A trough. A trough is like what it's like a cavity, often that like land animals eat out of, that like livestock eat out of. TROUGH. All right. kind of like what we got going in here. Let's give it like a little thing so it doesn't look like that child's bath toy right here. I don't know if I really like this double cylinder, but there's a part of me that does like the double cylinder because it's super mechanical shapes. Have I been able to watch any of Love, Death and Robots Season 2? I have. I binged it all on Friday when it came out. So yes, I've seen every one of them. I thought it was amazing. The style, I don't remember what the episode's names were, but it was the second episode, I believe. Very like all the characters were at like interesting perspectives. I don't remember what the episode name was, but that one was amazing. I really, really, really liked that one. Train, I think. Right. We can figure out what all these shapes will be in a minute. I kind of want to chisel this one down, though. Yeah. Here we go. Change my mind. And this is like all the mechanisms that are going to make this thing work in here. We'll figure all that out later. This is some thing under here. I don't know what this is yet. Iron Harvest. Yeah, I liked Iron Harvest actually quite a bit. That was a fun game. So I'm going to just pop into my clip curve and just see what happens if we do, you know, some of these. We'll eventually do some fancy hard surface stuff, but for now I kind of just want shapes. I'm going to leave my... I don't like it being this. I kind of like it like this, but maybe from the front it should be different. Or it's got like, you know, a thing in it. All right, Chad, I don't think we ever got a consensus. Should it encase a massive brain? Or what is running it? Is it an AI? Is it a brain? You know what? You could do a knee protector with spikes. But just the metal spikes coming out of the spider's knees. They're coming over here. Oh, I messed it up. Oh, yeah. Here, we'll put a link up in here. Three Slug Brothers. I really like that one, actually. This inside of them, there's like each of them are like watching through a little window. One's like here, one's like here, and then one's like, I don't know, deep inside the mastermind. Let's go ahead and, yeah, I made this sphere to potentially be a brain, but what if we do like a little dome? You know, there's a little dome on the side. A little asymmetry never hurts. It's like a weapon sensor. Not sure about it right now, but it's going to be in there somewhere. There we go. We'll put it right there. All right. So we'll pretend that it's about this big, so big that it's going off camera. It's going to have secret abilities. There's your sound effects. Ever want to know what it takes to be a good artist? Sound effects. I legitimately know many, many people who do a lot of sound effects when they are working. It's actually really funny, but I definitely picked it up from them. All right, so this would need to have like a way that this thing integrates into the body, or maybe this is part of the housing. Okay, we'll continue with this. I don't really know what's going on here. I'll be honest with you. Let's figure that out. It needs some sort of a pelvis or like a way to connect and not fall apart. So we'll make that. That's fine. I don't really know what these little flippery things are going to be. Make it giant shooting lasers. Yeah, that's the best way. Glowing dodecahedron as an AI pilot floating a little above the cylinders. I like that idea as like a thing that's there. Absolutely. There's gonna be some weird weaponry that it has, I think. All right, is there a way to just make it a dodecahedron? I could probably go in here, initialize H divide 5, 3, 3. Let's. All right. 4, 4. Okay. 6, 6. 4. 8. No. Gotta have the classic omnidirectional beam. Absolutely. It's just a D10. Project dice primitive. Before I go into any projects, give me a minute. Let me save this before I accidentally crash and lose all the work we made. Nobody likes that. Yeah, I think I remember that being in here now too, right? It's 3D printing. Nope. Is it project primitive? I remember seeing it now. In the middle. In the middle of what? Tools? I had it. In projects? Demo projects? Jewelry? Smack in the middle of the projects page. Oh, just this one. Oh, yeah, but I don't want to get that thing open right now. It'll crash me. We'll get it later. But yes, it is there. Thank you. I feel like I did see somewhere other dice, and maybe it's in there. Is there multiples in this dice primitives? It's plural, so I'm assuming there is. All right, let's clone this. I think I already did that. Let's put it in here. Let's just see what happens, all right? Append. I don't even mind that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. But if we rotate this from the middle, It's a flat angle. Oh, look at that. Let's just give this the old Dynamesh and some of these moves. So this would be a slow but agile boss. I think it would be like a really one of those bosses that can probably like transit, like zzz, zzz, like always is kind of like following you, kind of a thing, right? It's always like got something that's able to track you, so you can never really stay still. It's got like weapons or defensive capabilities of some kind, like in every way. That's my thought. Yeah, the annoying ones, exactly. AI should never make anything that's not annoying, especially as a villain. I don't know if that really works, but we're going to go with it for now. This thing, I kind of want to do the same thing too. I will leave that there. Kind of looks like a ghost right now from Destiny. Not in love with that idea. Or like a waypoint. Oh, we're going back to Lord Farquaad, huh? Let's see. Maybe this is the sensor. That's way cooler than this other thing. And it like pokes its little sensor head up and spins around and stuff like that. I feel like the theme for this creature, this character, is like it's always able to spin, it's always able to pivot, it's incredibly annoying. That's kind of where we're going with this thing. Let's sink this down into it as well. Yes, the Sims Diamond. That's what it is. It looks a lot like the Sims Diamond. Do you have an opinion on 3D Coat? I've seen amazing things done with 3D Coat. I have never really used it for those types of things, but it seems really cool. So I don't have I don't have enough experience, to be honest, to give you an insightful opinion, other than I've seen cool things made with it. All right, this is going to evolve, I think, substantially over time. But I'm kind of liking where we're going with this thing. Still got some weird things going on here. I don't know what this is. Let's just kind of trim some of these surfaces around so they feel a little more robotic. Not like it's a weird Cronenberg creature. Which I love Cronenberg, by the way. Not saying Cronenberg is bad. I just don't think Cronenberg is really where this thing lives. I mean, also the option that we could do with this is there's always like the Mad Max vibe of like, this is something that runs off of like, fuel. So it's like a, not steampunk necessarily, it's steampunk-y, but it's like diesel punk. You could explore that as well. All right. This is like clearly the weak point on this thing. No AI would do that. They just wouldn't do that, right? Something needs to be housed back here. Clearly a design flaw. I mean, it can have these wimpy little back legs, but it can't have that. And is it worth extending the legs? No. No, it's not. Getting spider masterminds from Doom 2016. I'll be honest, I don't recall that. But I like Doom. So that's the win in my book. It's pink. It's maybe getting a little too pink. Somebody's saying I should extend the legs on this side. Yeah, all right. I'll agree with you. Let's go like this. See, it doesn't even need these legs. These are like extra legs. At some point in the battle, these are going to be snapped off, and this thing's just going to be crawling around with these front legs. Spewing electric guts and green chemicals all over the ground. It's just a fact, All right. This is still a big thing I'm not certain on. The cylinder. Yeah, exactly. At that point, it turns into a full ATSC. The legs transition. Here, I'll show you exactly what happened. This would go away. Oh, that's the wrong selection. At some point, these little back legs get ripped off. More sound effects for you. These legs go. And they're like, oh, we got it. It looks dead. Oh, finally, we can relax. Oh. And then these legs go like this. Phase 2. And I don't know what this is happening, but you know what I mean. I think you get it. We still haven't decided if there's a brain, but we did accidentally make a beautiful little brain case right here in the middle. So there's always that. Or it could be in this top part. I feel like this top part would get ripped off. And just like Krang, we were talking about Krang earlier. Krang doesn't sit in the head, you know. There's a reason. The head's going to get ripped off. The arms are going to get ripped off. You got to be in the torso. You got to be in a well-guarded space. Ooh, this like military music is really, really good. All right, let's do this. Carve a little cavity in there. I don't know what this is, but it's going away. D6 roll of eyes or a D6 worth of eyes. I mean, this thing's going to have like a million little tiny eyes on it, right? It's got to have little sensors and things where it can look around. Where's his head? That one's pretty worthless. This one, also pretty worthless. Let's get rid of this. Let's undo till you get back to the middle then. There we go. This is where there should be. I'm going to hide these legs. Oh, the glowy shoot, like the weak point eyeballs is what you're talking about. This is like the underwater sub window. I wonder if something's in here. There's something in there. Yeah. I like this. And then we're going to have one of these. So now we never decided if this was a brain. Is this it's a sub, a spider, a part robot, and a tank. It's everything. What would AI make? The ultimate machine. Can't you tell this is clearly the ultimate machine? Well, no, but you know, this is going to evolve. It's only going to get better. This is iteration 1, didn't you know? All right, we never said if it was a brain or not a brain. I think we make it a brain. I just think we should. I just think we should. The only thing I don't like about this playlist is I think I've heard it in a lot of videos before because it's like epic royalty-free music. Let's just cut this thing in half. Let's move it over here. Give it the old squish. Ethan, hello. Hope you're doing well. Gonna give it some little lines like this. Try to make a quick brain. You take the clay build-up brush, you brush it along the lobes in this way, and then you take your Or maybe put a little subdivision on there. You kind of do these little squiggles. Just the whole thing. Just gonna do this. You can do it in one stroke, many strokes, doesn't really matter. Stroke, 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 right? This is a quick brain. Yes, we didn't really talk about that yet, but we will be returning to campus in fall. We got those questions quite a bit in the previous several months as we've been streaming, but we have recently announced that Gnomon will be going back to campus 100% in fall. So we will be resuming in-person classes. Super excited about that. Now I'm just going to take my inflate. I'm going to make it all the way. I'm just going to go a little bit. Boop, boop, boop. A little smooth, a little smooth. Not too bad, not too bad. I could also do the opposite, which is I can come in here. I can go mask by cavity. Whoop, and then I can blur the mask just slightly. And the brain, I don't know if the brain should be red. I think we should make it another color. We'll decide that later. It's like a bean-shaped brain. It will probably be another creature and not a brain. I'm just saying. But you'll have the moment where this is actually glass, right? This would be cool. It would be fun at least. And then you can see the brain in there. Or whatever the hell it is. You know, you gotta have the classic moment where it's like knocked the heroes down or out and it like crawls up to them, gets all close and inspects them. Maybe there's a little porthole right here. Some little tiny little openings. Those open up. A little tentacle comes out, brushes their face, checks if they're alive. That works. There we go. That is a good start for our villain, I feel like. That is a good start for our villain. Now, I did have a previous android robot that I started for this. Let's see how far along this thing is. Now, this could be a foot soldier. This is another character that was potentially going to be a good character. So you see it has the same hammer. Can't have that. Or that. We had this thing. This big old spider tank thing. Spider tank sub. Is what we said. Spider tank sub something else. Unless it was like huge. Too complicated. Too in line with the other aesthetic. Too in line. Elements could come through. Like, what if this head was in here somewhere? Clone. Append. Head. Could be a design element that we bring in. Yeah, that'll work. Little kit bash right there. Just put something in there. What is it? I don't really know. But it's there. All right, so that's our little tank we made today. We've still got an hour and a half left in the stream, so we're going to keep working on these characters, or all the characters you've kind of seen before today. Looks like an eagle as well. Yeah, there you go. I'm not entirely sure where the eagle aspect is, but okay. It's still good. It's a predator. The face. Ah. Maybe this like opens up like a beak. Right, more sound effects for you. It's gonna come up like this. Like this one. Over that. Where did I study? I'm actually a alumni of Gnomon. I graduated in 2009, so I went to school at Gnomon almost a decade ago, and I graduated then. Started working at Legacy Effects, and I worked at a bunch of other game and film studios like Naughty Dog, Marvel Studios, and Cloud Imperium Games. Talk about maybe personal journey in a minute in case that's interesting to anybody. Where I went to school, and I do this every other stream or so, maybe every several streams, but show off my art station and Instagram and stuff like that. But just so people can, see some of the stuff that I do or that I've worked on. Also take a little sculpting break. You can see this is my first project that I ever worked on, that I graduated and worked on. at Legacy Effects is Real Steel, the robot punching movie with Hugh Jackman. I was actually surprisingly happy with that movie. I think it's pretty fun. Directed by Sean Levy, Night of the Museum, Stranger Things producer. Worked on Iron Man, 3 Avengers, many MCU movies. Ended up modeling Iron Man in a variety of different ways, multiple times, from the Mark 7, which is kind of down here, from Avengers to Iron Man 3, doing a Hulk for the Avengers, War Machine, which is also Iron Patriot, designs for Iron Legion, Hulkbuster. Did the final design for Groot for Guardians of the Galaxy, so doing concept art for that as well. Doing models for characters, again, like I said, like Ultron, concepts for Ultron. This is the Avengers 2 Mark 45 for Iron Man, Spider-Man, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you got any questions as you're watching about things that just so happen to be about Marvel or working on big budget projects, whether it's this is at Naughty Dog. I've never been a part of Crash Bandicoot team, the dev team, I guess, unless you're talking about Naughty Dog. I did work at Naughty Dog on Uncharted, though. Avengers, Real Steel, other projects like that, Total Recall, some Creature books, fan art of things like IG-88, Star-Lord, and all kinds of different things. Cloud Imperium Games, where I worked as a character and creative director. So doing designs for aliens and stuff like that. So if you got any questions about concept art, you got any questions about any of that type of stuff, please feel free to ask, and I'm happy to answer. All right, where were we? This is our spider tank sub. Potentially controlled by an alien brain. Maybe an alien brain. We're not sure yet. And this is our cast. I'm going to scale them down extra tiny this time so we have a better scale. So you can see the whole tank, or the majority of the tank. So we have our villain character here in sort of a red-ish. There we go. We have our hero's creature that they might ride. A mount of some type. Looks like this. We have our companion, which is now very tiny. Looks like this. I'll go here. Probably about this size. And then we have our hero. Who would be about yay big. Somewhere in here. So that's our cast for right now. That's kind of who we're playing with. Was Ben Morrow on Total Recall? I don't actually know. I didn't work with him specifically, but would you say that someone has a chance to enter the industry with no experience in Maya, but being open-minded to work with the software and knowing all the topology rules, etc., and being a good modeler, of course? I mean, I assume what you're kind of asking at that point is like, can I get a job, using Blender or Modo or something else and being a modeler, but not ever having worked in Maya? The real key there is going to be can you or have you, you know, worked? The real key there is what your portfolio is, right? Is your portfolio good enough to get a job? It doesn't really matter, especially for a modeling position, what software you use, because the softwares change all the time, whether or not you're using ZBrush, whether or not you're using Modo or Blender, Silo or Maya or Max or any of the other programs that end up getting made for and our specialist, you know, modeling softwares. That's really what the key is going to be, right? That's the most important part, is what your portfolio looks like. So is it possible to have no experience in Maya and still get a job? Yeah. They're going to maybe ask that you learn Maya, know Maya, etc., do your own Maya training. It's possible. I would probably just pick up a little Maya in your own free time, get an educational version, or find a way to get one. They have free versions out there. Just get one of those, and then you'll be fine, because that's the main thing, right, that you need to know. So it's not too much to do. Good question, though. All right. So this is kind of our scale, was this. I gotta change this playlist. All right, let's do synthwave. What should we do? Synthwave, fantasy, vaporware, cyberpunk. Doesn't really sound like cyberpunk, but okay. We'll give it a minute. We'll give it a 5 shuffle button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somebody, Maria Shapova from YouTube asks, hi, to build the concept art, you used only ZBrush, and in it you then textured them. That was a combination of both ZBrush and Photoshop. So we were actually, what I was doing there was basically taking my sculpts, I would I would model them as far as possible, and then I would end up painting on them and adding texture in Photoshop. So a lot of paint over work and texture work kind of done that way, rather than unwrapping, texturing, doing materials, lighting. A lot of it was still in ZBrush. All right. What should we continue on? We got our hero, our creature, our companion, and our tank. I feel like I'm in a pretty good space with the tank right now as far as, where that's going. I feel like I know where this is going pretty well. I feel like I know where this is going pretty well. And then I think the body shape for this character I'm happy with, but the clothing is a complete mystery. So maybe let's do a little bit of clothing for the rest of the stream. Body shape, I'm there with it. I kind of like it. I think it's interesting and appealing, so we'll run with it for now. I did make a shell to go full on turtle if we really wanted to. I don't think that's what I want to do, but I do have one. All right, let's take this character. Let's duplicate this character. If you've been on the stream before, maybe you've seen this before. I'll duplicate a mesh so that there's 2 sitting on top of each other. I'm going to go to one of them, and I'm just going to fill it with this red color that I have. I don't really want it to be red, do I? I want it to be something else. We'll use this teal for now. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go to deformation. I'm going to go to inflate, and I'm going to delete it by 5. That's an arbitrary number. Make them fight. My creatures make them fight. They'll fight at some point. All right. There was a request from somebody in a previous stream to have a demo kind of about posing. So I think once we get all of the stuff together, maybe I'll go ahead and do like a posing stream, get some ideas together of what that could be like, what those scenes could be like, and I think that'd be kind of fun. All right, costume-wise. Now this character, I feel like we'll go to the hero. Let's find the hero. We had some suggestions for names in the past stream for this hero. I don't have any that really stuck out, that really resonated. So if you have any ideas, or that really stuck, if you have ideas for names for this character, let me know. Put them in a hat, make them dance with each other. I can make them dance with themselves. I'll wait for the music though. All right, good enough. Let's see the heroes here. So we're getting the companion. Frederick the hero. The companion's probably gonna be about this tall. Heal is not necessarily working. Maybe it's just a little more desaturated. Well, oh, filled. Synedrion. That's an interesting name. Oh, something about what I just did really makes me feel like this character should have a skullet. That's more of a hairstyle than it is anything else. There's also potential for this character to have a helmet, but I'm not so sure about that. Looks like a maybe not blue hair, but maybe blue hair. Maverick. Best you've got. Raven, Synedrion, Frederick, Maverick. Named so far. What about Jeff? Yeah, if you got a Maverick, you got to have a Goose, a Hollywood, and an Iceman, and a Wolfman, and a Cougar. All of those. And a Jester and a Viper. We can't forget those as well. All right, so I don't think this character necessarily needs armor. I feel like they should be wearing more clothing. So what type of clothing should they be wearing? Should they be wearing loose-fitting clothing, tight-fitting clothing? Why would they wear loose-fitting clothing? Why would they wear tight-fitting clothing? Hello from France. Hello from Los Angeles. He strikes you as an avid lover of ponchos, but we already have an avid lover of ponchos here. Maybe this is where he got his poncho from, though. All right. They both wear ponchos? Yeah. Can I add a monkey? I mean, it's always an option. See, now this has turned very much into The Undertaker and Paul Bearer. That was not where I wanted this to go. But the skullet and the size difference has shifted this into a very different perspective. If you're too young to know who Paul Bearer is or The Undertaker is, I'm sorry. But. And Jerome. So this would be Jerome? Could be a Jerome. How many details do you put into one concept art piece? When do you think you're overdoing it? It's as many as you need to communicate the idea. You know when you're overdoing it when you're not really adding to the idea anymore. And you probably have run out of time. This is like some robe. So we can make a hood. So maybe not a robe, not a poncho per se. Oh, sleeveless poncho. Sleeveless hooded poncho. And this dude's got some guns. Look at these arms. This is why the hero's letting him follow him around. He sees the potential. Rocky Horror Riff Raff vibes. Yes. Absolutely does. That's okay. I'm into that. Reptiloids. Somebody I was showing this to the other day said this character specifically reminded them of the villains from Dino Riders. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Dino Riders before. Hamburger the Bite. Turtle bites are no joke. That is correct. Turtle bites are no joke. Hulkmania. That's right, brother. Oh, I love wrestling intros. I could watch wrestling intros for hours. Intros, you know, what do they call the after the pre-show interviews, pre interviews, post interviews, where they call out all their opponents. So good. I could watch that forever. Ultimate Warriors. There's a whole compilation of Ultimate Warriors online, which are just absolutely insane. And Macho Man. Macho Man was also insane in his interviews. Yeah, you got to call out. Kind of a Dark Crystal vibe. Yes. This is also reminding me a little bit of the Dark Crystal people. The bow, the long neck. Kind of reminds me of that. This is the universal sign for bow. I remember what they're called. I feel like this character went from like kind of like more unassuming, like, oh, I could be, you know, I could be your Samwise Gamgee, to being like not that. Being like some weird metal priest. Don't know if that's exactly where I want to go with this, but it is an option now. It's always an option now. The village elder. Definitely the village elder. A grandma snapper. Somebody who's much older. I think we'll save this as a costume option since it's all just one. You know, we'll go ahead and give this the old save. And we're going to make a new one. Skeksis, yeah. This is not the Skeksis we're talking about. It's the other one, the opposite of the Skeksis. Goosebumps, hello. Hello. R.L. Stein is in the chat. I don't think that's true, but hello. See, I don't want it to necessarily be a grandma. That wasn't the goal. It just happened to have, this was the first costume and, you know, idea that came out. I don't, and this is the second. This was actually the first. This is the straight up, I'm a turtle person. Right? And this is like, I'm carrying around a small piece of your soul. So let's do another one. Yeah. What are you buying? What are you selling? Or what were we doing? That's right. We were going to make this thing. Deformation, inflate, negative, whatever, 5. Okay. That doesn't really matter. That's on the inside. Turn off the color. Aha, there we go. Stranger. That's right. Is that Resident Evil 4? Is that what that is? Good game. Really good game. Anybody played Village? Resident Evil Village? I have not played it. I am afraid of scary things, so I don't necessarily play all those games. But I've heard it was decent. I heard it wasn't very long, though. Oversized belt buckle and staff. You got a priest or a cleric. Yeah, see, all right, let's try something different here. So we did a cleric-y robe sort of a thing. Let's go other way. What could we do? Let's like make a, what would we need to do to make ours potential Samwise, I'm an in over my head companion? That was maybe the original direction that I was kind of thinking about this in. Aside from carrying around like a really large backpack and some like pots and pans, right? That shows like I shouldn't be here. You gotta have some other things that come in here. All right, first, let's just make this a little more gray. Whatever we're gonna sculpt in is just gonna be gray. Okay. Samurai turtle. I think that's called Leonardo. We could follow some of the shaped themes, but I kind of like the idea that maybe they aren't from the same place. But there's got to be something that brings them together. Now, somebody had already said the poncho, so because I'm a man of my word, I'll get the poncho from this character, I'll clone it, and I'll go ahead and I'll grab it and I'll append it to this character. It is tiny and backwards. Go ahead and put it over here. Sounds like something that would have been in John Wick. Looks like he must have Sneath on front with his massive weapon. Sheath? Well, I've already ruined this, so let's just get it on the character and then we'll see if this is even something we really want to do. The hero's like, here, I have this. It's an extra poncho. Wear it. And they're like, oh, it doesn't really fit. It'll keep you warm. What would be the perfect voice actor for the hero? Steve. Definitely like kid wearing his dad's shoes is what this would probably feel like. The Lishrak voice from Dota 1. Oh. Did they change the... I don't remember what the voice was from that. Was it... Because I think Lishrak was the Keeper of the Grove. Is that right? The model, at least. Or was it a different thing? Captain Picard. Disengage. Make it so. Yeah, that'd be interesting. J.K. Simmons. Yes. I don't know if they could have had a better voice for Omni-Man. I love J.K. Simmons. All right, this is as far as this exercise is going to go. So we'll do that. We'll say this isn't a potential option. Right, like we said. Optimus Prime-like, yeah. I don't know if I can do a good Optimus. I don't do very good impressions. Do I like this is the question. I'm not in love with it. There's always the like, you know, here, put a little belt on them and make some pants and get some boots on here. Time to go on your first adventure. Here's this option. Buckle up and let's make sure you're wearing your clothes. Your warm clothes. A chainmail hoodie would look pretty sick on that dude. See, we were going down this route here. Definitely very metal robe, but the chainmail hoodie's interesting. Do you imagine it being tighter? And it's like this kind of a thing? Is it sometimes when I wear my hoods, they're kind of like this. I can actually make this without looking like a fool. Coif, I think, is what you're talking about. Isn't that what that's called? It's not a bad idea. It's kind of more along the lines of like a cleric in some way. Like I'm ready to go out. I know I need to be protected. As it can become a female. They both could be females. They're lizards. You have no idea. I feel like the idea of a robe of some kind. Even this one, it had the skullet, which immediately took it into Hogan vibes. Maybe we go something like this. I like this idea. Bumper Car McGee, hello, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Nice suggestion. Give me an excuse to play around and make some chainmail maybe. It's like weird plane in the middle. Definitely does not feel like Hogan and company anymore. I think that's for the best. You know, I mean, this person I feel like should feel like they had to armor up a little bit. Let's make another one of these. Let's come in here. Let's show this. Let's. Ooh, I like it being darker too. Ooh, what if this is like the ranger, like the rogue, the like sneakster companion, but they're kind of, they don't necessarily fit that mold. Let's pick this. Let's fill this color. Okay, thank you. Let's take this. Let's duplicate this. Let's turn this off, and let's pick a blue, dark blue. That color. I feel like this should be like a thin coating, no pun intended, a coat of armor. They're probably wearing, right? Which is probably like this. It would probably have to be like this big. That could probably be a shorter little thing too. Let's see what that looks like if I just pull that up. Wasn't expected at all. I don't know how they put their head and neck through this, but is that one turtle or just turtle sort of? It's kind of a turtle sort of. Maybe an angle cut out chain kilt. I like it way higher. All right, so we need to go in and get this other thing. Oh, okay, that's not the one we wanted. Let's get this one. So this is where the actual maybe armor could be going. Let's save this character again. Hold a rosary of some sort. See, now we're talking. Some sort of a holy reliquary. His arms are just way too big. Can't contain him. No reason he would ever put anything on his arms. Oh, you know what though? We still have this poncho. What does that look like? 2 a.m. wherever you are. Go get some rest. Go to sleep. Thanks for joining, though. This way we can maybe get that material breakup that we're looking for. I don't know. Too many ponchos? Is that a concern? What if they're different colors? They'd probably be roughly the same color. They'd have to be, right? Darker. What the hell? There it is. It does look like they come from the same world, but it's also because they're wearing the same item. So I'm kind of conscious of like not wanting to necessarily just use an easy out from the design angle of this will make them fit together, even though it's successful. Is it the right move is, I guess, the question. We'll run with it for now. I'm not 100% sold on it, though. And there's also now so many capes. I'm a big fan of capes. That's not really the issue. It's just now there's just so many of them. Maybe he was given a cloak because he's wearing this chainmail. When he moves around, and they move around, it's really loud. It's like, you gotta put this on because you are way too loud right now. And we're walking around this place. He looks like he's ready to beat someone up. Yeah, that's about right. Let's try this cloth brush. I'm going to save this real quick. See what this does. The cloth slide brush. Oh, that's not what I wanted at all. That's not how I was hoping it would work. It's interesting. Not what I was hoping for. Cloth nudge. Yes, that's what I wanted. Peaceful and wise. Cloth move. I know there's a cloth move option. There we go. Maybe a little better than the like stab you in an alley look. The classic rogue. I like this more actually. Just a little bit back to the face. See if it's chainmail. The chainmail's not going to be all the way over here. Shouldn't be. What am I doing professionally now? I work for Gnomon. What I'm doing right now is part of my job. Do a stream and hang out with y'all, make stuff, engage, and if you guys have any questions about Gnomon, I'm here to ask. Curriculums, classes, programs, etc. I'm going to remove this and see what it looks like without it. It's a turtle with a hoodie on. Okay. This is a hoodie and a poncho on. Different. Similar. Different. I don't really like the colors that I've kind of chosen here. I'm going to have to change those at some point. I think you need some gloves or something. No, I like the claws, actually. Characters with tails, though. Tails and pants are an interesting thing that I didn't really think about until just now. Tail inside of his pants? Is there like a separate little section inside of the pants? Do you need to wear pants? It's a reptile. Really? It's feeling too dark. The overall character is feeling too dark. Let's fill this with this color. Keep this on. Let's turn this off. Ooh, even though it's a gray, I kind of just like this like lighter. So is chainmail, but chainmail can be brighter. Needs a crossbow. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. Maybe one large arm thing, other side shoulder bigger. You're saying like one pauldron kind of a thing? All right, let's go ahead and make some quick props. You're saying you want like, or you're proposing the idea of something that's like this, basically. Or one that's like, maybe there is armor. If there is armor, it should be smaller and more lightweight. Already wearing chainmail. The plates are for what? They're for protection. The little thing over here. What do we do with the poncho? Poncho sit on it? You'd have to. Definitely create almost a little Igor Quasimodo vibe. Not intentional. What if that would sit kind of in this area here, though? Cover the front a bit. Not all of it. I like crossbow because it shows that they're not necessarily somebody who's like skilled with a bow and arrow. I think when you think of somebody who's like a good with a bow and arrow, you're like, oh, this is like a very dexterous, fast, nimble person. Crossbows were designed to just be shot by anybody. Kind of just require a little less skill. Obviously, you have to aim them still, but they require a little less skill, and I like that about that. Grenade belt. Oh, that's a little. I don't think grenades necessarily exist in this world. This, though, should be a different color. Going back to dark, though, for some reason. There we go, bright blue. There we go, get a little green in there. I'll get some color in there at some point. All right, should we make a quick crossbow for this character? Save this real quick. All right, let's pull up a reference of a crossbow. Heavy crossbow. Images. Usually that's a D&D only thing. All right, this is kind of what I think we're thinking about, though. This type of a thing. Or this type of a thing. Or this type of a thing. Something like this. We'll make a really, really... Yeah, it doesn't work right with the poncho, right? This thing doesn't work right. I don't like that either, though. And we can bring it back in. I don't know what's stronger, the poncho or the asymmetrical thing. We'll stick with this for now. All right, so we're going to take a cube. We're going to put him over here, them over here. We're going to make a cube. I'm not going to make the most beautiful crossbow you've ever seen right off the bat. What we're going to do is we're just going to take this, trying to mesh it pretty low, 64. 54, Dynamesh. Something higher than I wanted, 32. We're just going to make the really quick, rough shape. So I don't, let's see, what's the front? Front, so from the side, I'm just going to stretch it. These little dots were not intentional, but that was because I smoothed it up there. And that's going to be like part of the body. I don't really know how these things function. There's some really simple ones, though. Like this. We get our clip curve. Go ahead and append another cube. We got about 30 minutes left. I think we can finish this crossbow in 30 minutes. Or the block out of the crossbow. It just has like an angle to it. Aha. Oh, good. Dynamesh this thing. Go back to 32. Dynamesh, that should be good. Uh-oh. 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 We'll wait a couple minutes. While it does that, there we go. 32. What kind of a guitar is that? It is a Fender Malibu Player Series, I think is what it is. It's basically a small body acoustic guitar. Hang on. Before I do that, it would be smart to duplicate this now. So that now I can bring this over. Carved. I would say is the most looked for in concept creature design. The most looked for is something that the director has never seen before. Did I do the straight line? I just duplicated the cube. Oh, holding down shift is the way that you keep a straight line. We could do a bigger and better thing at some point of this, but for now, let's get the point across. I just kind of grabbed a cube that I had smoothed and just pulled it. What music do I have in the background? Today, or right now at least, we have the Cyberpunks streaming beats safe for Twitch. We have to use royalty-free music so that we can use it doesn't get muted on YouTube and Twitch and all those things. So that's what it is. Royalty-free Cyberpunk is probably how you can find it on Spotify. It's going to be really big. That's okay. Okay. Let's go. Oh, that looks bad, doesn't it? How do we make that? It's working. It's working. Okay. Save this for later so that I can go over it and make a better version. In the meantime, now we have what we have, and we go merge visible. We go back to our companion. And we go here. Oh, yeah. Let's delete that. Let's delete this. We don't need this shell anymore. We don't need this one. And let me get this thing. Oh, there you are. Oh, we said he should have a big crossbow. As you wish. 3 minutes, had it done in 3. Yeah, but like not good. Like this is like, I made a shape. I made a shape that can represent the shape that we want it to be. Way too big, by the way. Do this again. The bolt is going to get all stretched, but that's okay. I think we need to go this way with it. Maybe not that way. It's going to destroy these strings, but we'll see what happens. Just just to make it fit the character a little better. Yes. Change the proportions of it really quick. How do you hold a crossbow like that? Like, this? I mean, it's definitely a taut string. That's how you get your fingers snapped off. One on the other side, right-handed probably, just because it's going to be easier to see. Oh, double! That was an accident, but you know. Finger pistols. Let's see, where were we? Let's see what we got. Questions. If you are building your game character artist portfolio, what pieces do you make? What type of characters? That's a good question, Juan. That's from Juan from YouTube. Juan, what you want to do is you basically want to make characters that fit the company you want to work for. So if you want to work for Blizzard, you should be making characters that look like Blizzard characters. If you want to work on The Last of Us, you should be making characters that look like they live in The Last of Us. You know, there's not like a specific, this is what you need to do. I love the double crossbows. It's just got to make stuff that the companies you want to work with seem to like, or you know, when a company's looking at your portfolio, they're going to be looking at your portfolio, they're going to be looking at your work, and they're going to say, does this person look like they can do the work that we want to do or that we currently do? And that's really the most important part, is that when they see your portfolio, that they can see you working there. If you know, that's kind of it. It's the most important part. Rainbow reptile double crossbow. I mean, it's just, how do you shoot them? Because like you have to hold one part of the crossbow and then pull the trigger. Like they're not hand crossbows. But you know, that's all right. Let's see. Yeah, of course you can't come with God of War work to work at Nickelodeon. Exactly. How did I get my first job in the 3D world? Would I have some tips? My first job was at a company called Legacy Effects. They ended up making real steel, or working on real steel. And so I happened to have in my portfolio when I graduated, I happened to have some robots in my portfolio. And so they basically saw exactly what I'm talking to you about, is Does it look like this fits what would be in the movie or is close? And the answer was close enough, right? So they extended me that offer. I graduated from Gnomon in 2009, and through Gnomon I had some connections and some networks, and I ended up taking a tour of the studio and getting a free portfolio review, and that portfolio review more or less turned into an impromptu interview of, hey, this is interesting, how long did it take you to make this? How long, was your process for making this? And that was kind of what they were looking for. So exactly to the question that Juan was asking from YouTube, just make stuff that feels like it's going to be in their world. I would personally not make designs of your own. That was another follow-up question, because often, not to be rude to anybody here, but if you're trying to be a modeler or a character artist or an environment artist or anything like that, your strong suit is probably not character design. It's probably character modeling. And Blizzard or whatever company, God of War, Naughty Dog, they all have a whole library of things that you could probably make that would look like they would fit into their world. You can make stuff from their concept art. You can do fan art of their stuff, and that's totally fine and applicable. You can find concepts online that they've made, maybe not using the in-game assets, but saying, I took this concept and I made it from a concept piece that somebody from a game company or even visual effects company has done, and you just make that, right? Otherwise, you're going to spend your time, if you only have an hour, this is the concept of time, but if you only have 10 hours to work on this piece, and you need to make at the end of the day, you're going to make an asset, you're going to make a model. If you do your own design, half of that time, likely a third to half of that time, you're going to spend designing. And that's going to mean you only have half of the time you would have had to do the model itself. So imagine if you had double the amount of time to work on the model, is kind of what I'm saying, and how much better it would be. Do you find that interviews often ask you how long it takes to do things? Yes, most of them that I've been in do ask you, how long it takes you to do something, because it's just kind of one of those pretty standard questions of, how long does it take you to make this? What was your process for making this? What's your workflow in making this? What's your, can you tell me how you did blah, right? Whatever it is. That's all going to be part of the interview process, because they want to get to know, they've already seen your work. If you're talking to somebody at an interview, they've already seen your work. And now at this point, you're really just showing them and telling them why you should be working with them or for them. Right. And it seems silly, but it's the truth. It's just, why should we hire you? We already like your work. So what was it about your process? Are you clear in how you know how to make things? Can you take feedback? Can you do all this kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of things that the companies are looking for when it comes to making, hiring people and adding to their staff. So don't necessarily worry about how long it took. Just try to make something good. That's the first step before you do anything else. Here's all our characters and stuff from today. This will eventually be our primary cast. We'll probably have some little creature that lives inside this thing, though. All right, so here we go. We've got our hero here. Oh, I can't see my mouse. Hero here. We've got our companion. We've got our mount creature that they will all be part of. And then we'll have their, villain that they end up fighting, some sort of techie, monstery thing that they end up fighting. So that's kind of our cast for today, or where we're at with this project. As you kind of seen throughout several of the streams, everything I think Everything except for the base from our companion here has been sculpted on ArtJam. So if you want to go back and see how any of these parts were made, whether it's the creature or the beginning of our hero character or any of that, all available on our ArtJams, and you can go ahead and check those out. It should be available on our YouTube channel because we have all of our playlists are available on YouTube. So if you want to check those out and binge on other ones and just generally see how stuff was done or watch that process, it's available for you there. In case you're not following any of our socials, I would check out our Instagram page. 2 things to kind of note here. First is this coming Friday, so the 21st at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be having a event with Tony Leonard, who will be talking about the way that they do 2D and 3D concept art in Blender. So you see that also posted in the chat right now. So you can check out that event in Blender, which will be this Friday from 11 to noon. And then additionally, big news for Gnomon, obviously, our campus is opening this fall. So we're super excited about that. We would love to welcome you back to campus. Come take a tour, come take classes in person, or if you've been waiting to sign up for a full-time program to when the campus is open, we will be doing that in fall. So yeah, take a look there. Follow our socials. Hit our like, follow, subscribes from anything that you're watching right now to get more information for future streams that we do, for anything that is Gnomon related. You'll get notifications and alerts whenever we do events, which we do many times a month. I'd say we probably do about 6 events a month, sometimes more. So if you like anything you're watching, there'll be more available. Let's see, go through the last questions real quick before we head out. We got 5 minutes for today, and thank you guys very much for hanging out with me on the stream today. It's always fun to do this. Let's see. What about if I can make a game in Unreal, for example? Is a game, if it looks good, polished for a portfolio? Marlo 3D asked that from Twitch. Marlo, if you're making a game, realistically, that's not necessarily for an asset position. A lot of what Gnomon grads get hired for are game art positions. So you're talking about modeling positions, texturing positions, visual effects positions, lighting positions, etc. If you're making a whole game, that doesn't show off any of that. It just shows off that you can make a game, which is more of a game designer position. I would recommend you look and research game designer. It's actually different than game concept artist, which a lot of people get confused about. So check out game design, and that's more about the rules and mechanics of making a game. So that's not going to be good for an art portfolio. No. You're struggling with concepting your own robotic design. Any tips? Look around your space, find something, and turn it into a robot. I had just picked up this random glass jar. Turn this into a robot. Find something else that's laying around. Turn this into a robot. How could this be a robot? Oh, this little thing pops off here. What does this do? You like my sound effects earlier. Like this, you've already got stuff built in. Right? Look around your world for inspiration. Build things off of that. That's how things like Slave One, the Boba Fett ship, was made. Basically looking at an iron, right? Kind of use the world for inspiration and find good reference. If you can make a polished game inside, that goes a long way. Yes, Pedro, I kind of agree, but not for a game art position. When you were learning, did you set deadlines on your projects? Yes, especially when you're starting to make your portfolio. Give yourself a time constraint. So something like 2 weeks, a month maximum for a project. Gnomon classes are 10 weeks long, and often you'll see there'll be a midterm and a final. So that's 2 projects, so about a month and a quarter, month and a half, just under 5 weeks, and go from there. Thanks for all the no worries, everybody. Thank you all for joining the stream. We're going to end the stream here in just a minute. So if you have any last questions, we'll probably actually hang on until next time because I'm going to answer those next time. we're going to close up shop here in just a second. So I really, really appreciate everybody joining the stream today. It was fun to hang with y'all and make some of the weird little creatures and companions and tanks today. Pretty excited about how this project is going and kind of for the future of what it's going to be. My goal for the rest of the year, 2021, is to combine and finish a bunch of this stuff into illustrations and eventually doing some 3D printing stuff. I actually just got, you can kind of see it behind me here. I never know what way it is. Whoop. Here, you can see I got a new printer here. So we upgraded to a Form 3. So I'm excited to start printing some stuff from here on the stream, which will be exciting. We'll be doing that very soon. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, you'll see some 3D prints coming off that thing. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again so much for joining. And we will see you next week on Art Jam from 2 to 5 Pacific time. Have a good one. See you soon.